Every day, countless individuals grapple with a nagging sense of urgency. They know they need to accomplish important tasks, yet they find themselves lost in a whirlpool of distractions. This is the paradox of procrastination. We all have our reasons for putting things off. It might seem trivial, but procrastination can have profound effects on our productivity, mental health, and overall well-being. A staggering statistic shows that approximately 20% of adults identify themselves as chronic procrastinators. So, what drives this behavior? Researchers in psychology have uncovered multiple reasons behind procrastination. Fear of failure is one of the key factors. Individuals often postpone tasks because they fear not meeting their own expectations or the expectations of others. The prospect of facing criticism or judgment can be so daunting that they choose to delay instead. Moreover, studies have indicated that the emotional distress related to the task at hand activates areas of the brain linked to stress response, almost triggering an automatic withdrawal. Think back to when you had an important deadline looming. How did it feel? The pressure, anxiety, and stress might have prompted you to scroll through social media or binge-watch your favorite show to escape it. Another fascinating angle is the role of perfectionism in procrastination. Perfectionists often find it hard to start tasks because they have set an excessively high standard for themselves. Their fear of producing subpar work leads them to avoid even beginning. The cycle continues as they fall behind, further deepening their fear of failure. Interestingly, a groundbreaking study published in the journal Psychological Science found that our perception of time can alter our propensity to procrastinate. When we think a task is far in the future, we tend to delay it. This is known as temporal discounting. However, the closer the deadline looms, the more we feel pressured to take action. This urgency can lead to a destructive cycle of last-minute scrambling that does not foster quality work. So, how do we break this cycle? Understanding the underlying reasons for our procrastination is the first step in conquering it. If we view procrastination as a complex interplay of emotional, cognitive, and temporal factors, we can address it more effectively. In the next chapter, we'll explore real-life stories of individuals who faced their procrastination head-on and emerged victorious, proving that change is possible. Stay tuned as we delve into their inspiring journeys. Let's take a moment to reflect on real, transformative stories of individuals who broke free from the chains of procrastination. One such inspiring figure is Jason, a graphic designer who struggled with procrastination throughout college. With multiple assignments piling up, he often found himself overwhelmed. His strategy? Avoidance. He would spend hours watching YouTube tutorials on graphic design instead of working on his projects. However, when he reached the final semester, the consequences of his procrastination became painfully evident. He was on the brink of failing his course. Determined to change, Jason sought help. He discovered a method known as the Pomodoro technique. This technique encourages breaking work into intervals, traditionally 25 minutes in length, followed by short breaks. Jason started small, spending just 25 minutes focusing on one task at a time. He found that by setting a timer, he could trick his brain into focusing without the overwhelming pressure. The sense of urgency that arose as the clock ticked motivated him to stay on track. As weeks passed, Jason not only completed his assignments on time but also produced some of his best work. His newfound productivity led to a significant improvement in his grades and self-esteem. Another remarkable case is that of Eliza, a writer who struggled for years with a novel she had dreamed of completing. She constantly found herself stalling, convincing herself that she wasn't ready to write or that she needed to research more. The fear of inadequacy loomed over her like a dark cloud. Eventually, Eliza decided to share her struggles on social media. By being vulnerable and open about her procrastination, she found a community of support. Her followers encouraged her, offering advice and accountability. Inspired by their stories and struggles, Eliza implemented a writing routine. She dedicated 1 hour every day to writing, regardless of the quality. Slowly, the words began to flow. By focusing on consistency rather than perfection, Eliza finally completed her novel. After several drafts, her book was published, and it received critical acclaim. She attributed her success to her ability to break free from the procrastination cycle through open communication and consistent effort. These narratives highlight a crucial lesson: overcoming procrastination often comes down to creating accountability and finding strategies that align with our unique work styles. It's a reminder that anyone can transform their habits with the right mindset and tools. In the next chapter, we will dive into the scientific research behind procrastination, uncovering fascinating insights that can help us understand why we delay tasks and how we can combat it. Get ready for mind-blowing revelations. To truly conquer procrastination, we must first grasp the scientific principles that govern it. Psychology researchers have spent decades unraveling the complexities of this pervasive issue. One of the most pivotal concepts is self-regulation, which refers to our ability to control our emotions, thoughts, and behaviors in pursuit of long-term goals. When we procrastinate, it's often due to a failure in self-regulation. Our immediate desires overshadow our long-term objectives. A study conducted by University of California, Los Angeles, revealed that individuals who struggle with self-regulation tend to procrastinate more frequently. They found that the lack of impulse control is a significant predictor of procrastination behavior. Another intriguing component is the role of our emotional state. Procrastination is intricately linked to emotions such as anxiety, fear, and even boredom. Research from the University of Cambridge highlighted that individuals with higher anxiety levels were more prone to procrastinate. The overwhelming feelings often lead to a flight response, choosing avoidance instead of taking action. Interestingly, scientists have also identified the impact of dopamine on procrastination. Dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward, plays a critical role in our motivation. When we avoid tasks that we perceive as unpleasant, we seek instant gratification through alternative activities, like scrolling through social media or snacking. This cycle can create a reward feedback loop where we reinforce our procrastination. Understanding these neurological and psychological factors can be a game changer in addressing procrastination. For instance, cognitive behavioral techniques can be implemented to help individuals reshape their thought patterns around tasks. By recognizing negative emotions associated with procrastination, individuals can work to reframe their thinking, reducing the emotional weight of tasks. Moreover, the concept of time management is not just about schedules, it's about understanding how we perceive time. Research published in the journal Applied Psychology found that individuals who perceived time as limited tended to manage their tasks more effectively. This highlights the importance of deadline setting and breaking tasks into manageable portions to avoid feeling overwhelmed, thus sidestepping procrastination. As we embrace the insights offered by psychology and neuroscience, it's clear that procrastination is not just a flaw in character but a complex interplay of emotional and cognitive factors. In the next chapter, we will explore practical strategies rooted in this research that can empower us to take decisive action against procrastination and reclaim our time. Stay tuned as we uncover actionable steps to end procrastination for good. Having explored the underlying science of procrastination, it's time to equip ourselves with actionable strategies to combat this behavior. The beauty of this journey lies in the diverse tools available, allowing us to choose what resonates with our unique styles. Let's dive into some practical methods that can help us regain control over our time. First, the Pomodoro technique is an incredibly effective method for managing procrastination. As mentioned earlier, breaking tasks into shorter work intervals can make daunting projects feel more manageable. After each interval, taking a short break helps refresh the mind, making it easier to refocus. Research has indicated that this technique can significantly enhance productivity and maintain motivation. Secondly, the 2-minute rule is another powerful strategy. This principle states that if a task takes 2 minutes or less, you should do it immediately rather than procrastinate. This simple rule helps in clearing small tasks efficiently, preventing them from piling up into larger, overwhelming to-do lists. Moreover, creating a dedicated workspace free from distractions can significantly enhance focus. A clutter-free environment encourages a clutter-free mind, allowing for better concentration. Designate a specific area solely for work or study, a place that energizes you and reduces the likelihood of distractions. Setting clear and attainable goals also plays a crucial role in minimizing procrastination. When our objectives are well-defined, it's easier to chart a path toward completion. Consider using the SMART criteria: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals can create a clearer roadmap. Accountability partners can be a game-changer in combating procrastination. Sharing your goals with someone who encourages you to stay on track can provide motivation when you feel tempted to procrastinate. Regular check-ins can stimulate progress and foster a sense of responsibility. Another effective strategy is visualization. Visualizing the successful completion of tasks can create a psychological incentive to act. Studies have shown that individuals who visualize their goals are more likely to achieve them because they create a mental simulation of success. Finally, implementing a reward system can further reinforce positive behavior. Treat yourself for accomplishments, whether big or small. Offering yourself incentives creates a positive association with completing tasks, making it more likely to repeat the behavior in the future. These strategies, grounded in psychological research and real-life success stories, offer a comprehensive toolkit for overcoming procrastination. But one crucial aspect often overlooked is understanding the emotional triggers behind our procrastination. In the next chapter, we will explore these emotional factors in depth and uncover how they influence our procrastination habits. Stay tuned as we delve into the emotional side of procrastination. Emotions play an enormous role in our propensity to procrastinate. It's essential to understand that procrastination is not merely a time management issue, it often arises from deep-seated emotional triggers. Let's unpack these emotional dimensions that can lead to avoidance behavior. One prevalent emotional factor is fear: fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of success, and even fear of the unknown. Each of these fears can create an emotional barrier that deters individuals from starting or completing tasks. For instance, the fear of failure can be paralyzing. If you consistently associate your self-worth with your performance, you may find yourself refusing to engage with challenging tasks. Another emotional trigger is perfectionism, which we briefly touched upon earlier. Perfectionists may find it challenging to start or finish tasks due to their rigid beliefs about how things should be done. This can lead to self-sabotage, where the desire to achieve a perfect outcome prevents any progress at all. Overcoming perfectionism requires a shift in mindset, recognizing that imperfections are part of the process and that progress is more important than perfection. Boredom is another emotional state intimately linked to procrastination. When tasks feel monotonous or unchallenging, it's easy to lose motivation and drift into distraction. To combat this, consider injecting creativity into mundane tasks, or break them down into smaller, more engaging activities that spark interest. Moreover, our emotional state can also be influenced by external factors, such as stress or burnout. When we feel overwhelmed by life's demands, procrastination can become a coping mechanism, providing a momentary escape from responsibilities. It's vital to recognize when external pressures are contributing to our procrastination and develop self-care strategies to mitigate stress. By identifying these emotional triggers, we gain insight into our procrastination habits. Journaling can be an excellent tool for this. By reflecting on your feelings and behaviors surrounding procrastination, you can start to unravel the underlying emotions that drive it. This self-awareness is a crucial step in breaking the cycle of avoidance. As we finish this chapter, remember that understanding the emotional roots of procrastination is key to overcoming it. In the next segment, we will wrap up our exploration with actionable steps you can start implementing today to reclaim control over your procrastination habits. Stay tuned for a powerful conclusion that can change your life. Accountability can often be the secret weapon against procrastination. But what does it mean to hold ourselves accountable, and how does that concept work in practice? The journey begins with understanding that when we share our goals with someone else, we create a social contract that compels us to act. In studies conducted by researchers at the Dominican University of California, participants who shared their goals were significantly more likely to achieve them. This is not just about telling others what you plan to do, it's about creating a support system that keeps you on task. Consider the case of James, a graduate student who struggled to finish his thesis. For years, he found himself distracted by video games and social media. However, everything changed when he decided to join a writers' group. By sharing his deadlines with the group, James felt a sense of obligation to others, not just to himself. This social pressure provided the motivation he previously lacked. As he began to share his progress, he found himself not only completing his thesis on time but also gaining a deeper understanding and appreciation for his subject matter. Accountability can take many forms. Some people thrive in collaborative environments, while others might find that a single accountability partner works wonders. An example of a structured program is accountability coaching, where coaches help clients set clear goals and deadlines while providing regular check-ins. This technique has shown to enhance productivity and reduce procrastination on diverse tasks, from career projects to personal goals. Research has shown that the fear of letting someone else down can be a more potent motivator than the fear of failing ourselves. A phenomenon known as the accountability effect has highlighted this truth. A study published in the journal Psychological Science found that when students were held accountable by peers for their homework, their performance improved significantly. The mere act of knowing someone else was aware of their efforts made them more dedicated and disciplined. So, how can you implement this concept? First, identify your goals, making them visible. Next, seek out a mentor, colleague, or friend who supports you. Regularly check in with them about your progress. The key is to have someone who can provide both encouragement and constructive criticism. You might also consider using modern technology. There are countless apps designed to create accountability systems, where users can share their goals and weekly progress with friends or family. But accountability isn't always about external pressure. Sometimes, it's about fostering internal accountability. This can be achieved through journaling, where you reflect on your goals, daily tasks, and emotional barriers. By writing down your challenges and triumphs, you create a personal roadmap of responsibility. Tracking your journey this way can be incredibly empowering. As we delve further into the role of accountability, let's explore the darker side of its absence. When individuals operate in isolation, it's all too easy to fall back into procrastination. The feeling of being unobserved leads to an internal dialogue that may justify delays. What happens when the only person you are letting down is yourself? This chapter leaves us with an important question. Are you ready to make a commitment to yourself and seek out accountability to build a more productive life? Habits are not just routines, they are the foundational blocks of our daily lives. They shape our actions and ultimately determine our success. But how can we cultivate habits that combat procrastination and promote productivity? The concept of habit formation can be traced back to Charles Duhigg's book, The Power of Habit, where he posits that habits follow a loop: cue, routine, reward. By focusing on this loop, we can intentionally create new habits that replace procrastination with productivity. For instance, let's consider the case of a software developer named Sarah, who found herself postponing projects until deadlines loomed dangerously close. By altering her cue, changing her work environment, she created a new routine of starting tasks immediately upon arrival at the office. The reward? A sense of accomplishment and decreased stress levels. Understanding triggers is vital in habit formation. Identify the cues that lead to procrastination. Are they distractions like social media notifications? Or perhaps it's the overwhelming feeling of a large task ahead? Once these are clear, we can consciously design cues that motivate us to start working. For example, if you tend to procrastinate on workouts, your cue might be laying out your running shoes the night before, setting a tone for action when morning comes. Studies suggest that it takes an average of 66 days to form a new habit. But this can vary significantly depending on the individual and the type of habit being formed. Shorter habits can take less time, while more complex behaviors may require additional time to firmly hold. This is significant for those who find themselves struggling. It's essential to be patient and kind to ourselves during this process. To solidify these habits, consider implementing the 2-minute rule. Popularized by productivity expert James Clear, the rule states that any task that takes less than 2 minutes to complete should be done immediately. This not only eliminates the task from your to-do list but also establishes a momentum for larger tasks. When we start small, we often find ourselves moving on to bigger tasks without hesitation. This shift in mindset significantly reduces the tendency to procrastinate. As you build these habits, structure your environment for success. Remove distractions and create designated work zones. The more conducive your space is to productivity, the less likely procrastination can take root. Moreover, consider leveraging the power of visualization. Picture yourself completing tasks on time, enjoying the rewards. Visualizing success can reinforce the habits you want to cultivate. The promise of habit building comes with the realities of setbacks. It's crucial to recognize that forming productive habits is a journey filled with ups and downs. For every day of discipline, there may be days fraught with weakness. Celebrating small victories, like completing a challenging task or simply starting on time, helps maintain motivation. As we wrap up this chapter on habits, remember that building new ones is a process. Reflect on what habits you want to change today. How can you adjust your habits to foster a productive environment? What's the first step you can take toward creating lasting change? In the age of distractions, the practice of mindfulness has emerged as a powerful tool to combat procrastination. Mindfulness isn't merely about meditation, it's about cultivating a presence of mind that allows us to engage fully with the task at hand. When we are aware of our thoughts, feelings, and environment, we're less likely to succumb to the temptations of distraction. Research backs this up. A study published in the journal Psychological Science showed that individuals who practiced mindfulness displayed improved focus and were less likely to procrastinate on significant tasks. Mindfulness helps us to accurately assess our situation, including what triggers our procrastination habits. Imagine for a moment a young professional named Lily. She finds herself overwhelmed with her workload, often opting for scrolling through her phone instead of completing her assignments. On the advice of a friend, Lily decided to integrate mindfulness into her day. Starting with just 5 minutes of focused breathing each morning, she began noticing her thoughts without judgment. Over time, this practice changed her relationship with work. Instead of feeling the pressure of impending deadlines, she learned to approach her tasks calmly and methodically, leading her to more completion and less procrastination. So how can we incorporate mindfulness into our lives? Begin with simple practices such as deep breathing exercises or mindful walking. These activities can ground you and help create the mental space needed to deal with tasks efficiently. Apps like Headspace and Calm provide guided sessions focusing on mindfulness techniques tailored for productivity. Moreover, mindfulness encourages us to break tasks into smaller parts, making them less daunting. When we focus on smaller, manageable segments, the larger task becomes less overwhelming, facilitating action instead of avoidance. This strategy can be particularly effective for students facing the pressures of exams or large projects. Additionally, practicing gratitude can enhance our mindfulness journey. By acknowledging our achievements, no matter how small, we build a more positive mindset that combats procrastination. It allows us to focus on our strengths rather than our weaknesses, shifting how we perceive challenges. As we conclude this chapter, reflect on how mindfulness could transform your approach to procrastination. Are you ready to engage with your tasks more fully? What small steps can you take today to start this new path? As we delve deeper into procrastination, it's vital to address a crucial element that binds our fear of failure with our tendency to delay: the stigma associated with failing. Many avoid taking action, fearing the possibility of not succeeding. However, what if we could reframe failure as an opportunity for growth? Case studies from various fields reveal that many of the world's most successful people encountered failure before achieving greatness. Take the story of Thomas Edison, who famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This mindset allowed him to persist until he invented the light bulb, changing the world forever. Understanding failure isn't merely about accepting setbacks but learning from them. Each time we encounter failure, it provides feedback that can inform our future efforts. In her book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, psychologist Carol Dweck emphasizes the importance of adopting a growth mindset. This perspective allows individuals to view challenges as pathways to improvement rather than as insurmountable obstacles. In practice, embracing failure means taking calculated risks. It's essential to step out of your comfort zone. A practical example can be found with entrepreneurs who often face rejection and failures before achieving their breakthroughs. What sets successful entrepreneurs apart is their ability to analyze what went wrong, adjust their approach, and try again. We can transform our perspective on failure by practicing self-compassion. Instead of chastising ourselves for mistakes, we can respond with kindness and understanding. This emotional resilience helps us bounce back quicker from setbacks, fostering a proactive rather than reactive approach to our tasks. Moreover, establishing a failure resume can be a transformative exercise. This is a document where you list your failures, learnings, and the steps taken to improve. Viewing failures as experiences rather than a measure of self-worth can drastically reduce the fear associated with taking action. As we conclude this chapter, consider how shifting your perspective on failure can liberate you from the clutches of procrastination. Are you ready to embrace your mistakes as stepping stones to success? As we near the conclusion of our exploration into procrastination, it's critical to synthesize everything we've learned into actionable steps for transformation. Overcoming procrastination is not merely a one-time effort but a journey that requires continuous self-awareness and adjustment. Reflecting on the previous chapters, we've uncovered the paradox of procrastination, examined transformative stories, delved into the science behind our choices, and identified practical strategies. We've discussed the importance of accountability, habit formation, mindfulness, and reframing failure. All these elements converge into a holistic approach to combat procrastination. The first step toward overcoming procrastination is to develop awareness. Recognizing when and why you procrastinate sets the foundation for change. Keeping a journal to track triggers can help illuminate patterns you may not have previously noticed. Once you're aware, adopt the strategies we've explored, leverage accountability systems, establish productive habits, practice mindfulness, and embrace failure. Additionally, it's essential to find your why. Understanding the underlying motivations behind your tasks can provide the drive needed to push through inertia. Ask yourself, what is the long-term benefit of completing this task? How will it positively impact your life? Remember, the journey to overcoming procrastination is not linear. There will be setbacks and challenges along the way. It's about resilience and persistence, recognizing that each step, even the missteps, brings valuable lessons. Celebrate your small victories, for they pave the way for larger achievements. Engage in regular self-reflection, reassessing your goals and methods. Adaptability is key to finding what works for you personally. As you continue this journey, take pride in the progress you make, no matter how incremental it may seem. To conclude, overcoming procrastination is achievable. It's a process of self-discovery, understanding, and commitment. So, are you ready to take that first step? The ability to transform your life lies in your hands. Embrace the journey of self-improvement and be the best version of yourself. Imagine facing a task you've been putting off for weeks. You sit down, ready to dive in, and suddenly you feel a wave of anxiety wash over you. Your mind races, maybe I should check social media first. Or just a quick video. This is a common scenario for many of us, linked not just to our habits but to how we treat ourselves in moments of failure. Understanding procrastination isn't just about finding the right productivity hacks or accountability partners. It's also about how we relate to ourselves when we fall short. Self-compassion plays a vital role in overcoming procrastination. Research by Dr. Kristin Neff, a pioneer in self-compassion studies, suggests that those who practice self-kindness are less likely to procrastinate. Instead of beating ourselves up over our productivity, practicing self-compassion allows us to acknowledge our shortcomings without self-judgment. Consider the story of Mark. Mark was a graduate student who constantly procrastinated on his thesis. Every time he sat down to write, feelings of inadequacy would surface. He would tell himself, "You're not good enough. This isn't even a real career." As a result, he avoided his work, opting for Netflix binges instead. After attending a workshop on self-compassion, Mark learned to reframe his thoughts. Instead of criticizing himself for procrastinating, he began to say, "It's okay to feel scared or overwhelmed." Gradually, he became more productive because he was no longer paralyzed by self-doubt. In fact, studies by the University of California found that self-compassion leads to increased motivation and productivity. But how can we practice self-compassion? One helpful technique is to write a letter to yourself as if you were writing to a dear friend who was experiencing the same struggles. This exercise can help you recognize that you are not alone in facing challenges. You can offer yourself the same understanding and kindness you would extend to others. Incorporating small self-compassion practices can change your relationship with procrastination. Instead of thinking, "I'm a failure," try saying, "I'm human, and it's okay to struggle." Imagine a world where we are gentle with ourselves when we falter. The implications of self-compassion extend beyond procrastination. It affects our overall mental health, leading to resilience and emotional balance. Ultimately, it's about accepting the imperfection inherent in being human. Practicing self-compassion can be the key to unlocking productivity without the nagging weight of guilt. And as we embrace this compassion, we find ourselves moving forward with renewed energy and optimism. So, as you reflect on how to combat procrastination, consider the power of self-compassion. How might your life change if you approached your goals with kindness? Let's dive deeper into how our mindset can shape our relationship with procrastination. The environment we inhabit has a profound effect on our productivity. Imagine this: you want to work on a project, but your workspace is cluttered with distractions, old coffee cups, unopened mail, and a pile of laundry screaming for attention. In environments like this, it's almost impossible to focus. Studies show that our surroundings can trigger feelings of stress and anxiety, which often lead to procrastination as a coping mechanism. Take the case of Sarah, a freelance graphic designer. Initially, Sarah worked from her cramped apartment, where the clutter of daily life surrounded her. She often found herself procrastinating, scrolling through social media instead of meeting her deadlines. The chaos in her environment contributed to her sense of overwhelm. When Sarah decided to change her workspace, everything shifted. She invested in a dedicated home office, ensuring it was organized, bright, and inspiring. With minimal distractions, just her artwork, notepads, and a succulent, she noticed an immediate increase in her productivity. Environmental psychology offers insights into how our settings influence our behavior. For instance, the concept of functional fixedness suggests that we become mentally stuck in our routines, which can inhibit creativity and productivity. By altering our environments, we disrupt these patterns. Another powerful example comes from research conducted at the University of Michigan. Participants who worked in well-organized, aesthetically pleasing environments reported higher levels of motivation and lower instances of procrastination. The surrounding colors, lighting, and even smells can trigger different emotional responses. So, how can you optimize your environment to combat procrastination? Start by decluttering your workspace. A clean, organized space can significantly improve focus. Next, consider the colors around you. Studies indicate that softer, natural colors can promote calmness, while brighter colors may enhance energy levels. Adding personal touches that inspire you, such as artwork, plants, or motivational quotes, can create a positive feedback loop. This way, your environment becomes a source of encouragement rather than distraction. Lastly, it's essential to establish boundaries in your environment. Set specific times for work and leisure in designated areas. When you sit down to work in your designated space, you train your brain to switch into work mode. As we discuss the impact of environment, reflect on yours. Is it a place that boosts your productivity, or does it foster procrastination? Changing your environment could be one of the most effective steps you take in your journey to overcome procrastination. We all have dreams and ambitions, but how often do we find ourselves overwhelmed by them? The difference between those who achieve their goals and those who don't often lies in the clarity of the goals themselves. One effective method to sidestep procrastination is to adopt the SMART goals framework. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This method transforms vague aspirations into actionable steps. Consider the story of Jenny, a young entrepreneur with aspirations of launching a bakery. Initially, she wrote a vague goal: I want to start a bakery. As time passed, that dream felt more and more distant, leading her to procrastinate on taking essential steps. After attending a business workshop, Jenny learned about SMART goals. She restructured her aspiration. Instead of just wanting to start a bakery, she set a goal that was specific. I will launch a bakery selling gluten-free desserts by March of next year, and I will serve at least 50 customers weekly. This clarity provided her with a roadmap. Breaking her goal into smaller milestones made it easier to manage. Each week, Jenny set tasks such as creating a menu, designing her logo, and finding suppliers. This approach not only kept her moving forward but also made her feel accomplished along the way. The science behind SMART goals is well documented. Research has shown that individuals who set clear, structured goals are more likely to succeed than those who don't. A study in the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine revealed that participants with specific plans were 30% more likely to achieve their objectives. To implement SMART goals, start by asking yourself a few key questions. What is my goal? How will I measure my success? Is this goal realistic? Why is this important to me? When do I want to achieve it? The clarity brought by these questions will illuminate your path forward. Moreover, try to share your SMART goals with someone who can support you. Accountability can increase your commitment and combat procrastination. As you ponder the next steps in your journey, consider the power of SMART goals. How much more achievable could your dreams become with a little structure? In our next chapter, let's dive deeper into the impact of mindset on procrastination, and how shifting perspectives can lead to extraordinary results. Perfectionism and procrastination often dance a delicate waltz, intertwined in a complex relationship that can drive even the most ambitious among us to a standstill. Many people find themselves caught in a trap, believing that if they can't complete a task perfectly, they shouldn't complete it at all. This mindset is not just a minor hindrance, it can be paralyzing. According to a study published in the journal Personality and Individual Differences, approximately 30% of people identify as perfectionists, and this trait has been linked to heightened levels of anxiety, depression, and, of course, procrastination. Consider the story of Sarah, a graphic designer. She often found herself delaying projects until the last minute, fearing that her work wouldn't meet her ideal standards. Though her clients often praised her work, Sarah constantly focused on the imperfections, a missing element, a slight misalignment. This fixation on perfection led her to miss deadlines, causing stress and further feelings of inadequacy. It's crucial to understand that perfectionism can serve as a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can drive quality and excellence, yet, on the other, it can be a significant barrier to productivity and joy. The truth is, the quest for perfection often leads to avoidance. By fearing failure and striving for an unattainable ideal, people like Sarah can become immobilized, waiting for that perfect moment to act, which never arrives. To combat this, we can reframe our understanding of success. Embracing the idea that done is better than perfect can liberate us from the chains of procrastination. Studies show that people who practice self-compassion and accept their imperfections are more likely to take action, as the fear of failure diminishes significantly. In the end, combating procrastination involves recognizing and confronting our perfectionist tendencies. Instead of striving for perfection, aim for progress. Each small step taken towards your goals is a victory in itself. As Sarah learned to embrace her imperfections, she began accepting feedback more readily, allowing her to submit projects on time, reduce stress, and ultimately, produce work she felt good about. Visualization is a powerful tool often overlooked in the battle against procrastination. It involves creating vivid mental images of achieving your goals. Studies reveal that visualization not only enhances performance but also significantly reduces anxiety associated with daunting tasks. Athletes have long employed visualization techniques to enhance their performance. For instance, Olympic gold medalist Michael Phelps famously envisioned every aspect of his races, from the feel of the water to the sound of the crowd. This mental rehearsal allowed him to prepare for both the physical and emotional challenges of competition, leading to groundbreaking success. But how does this relate to procrastination? When we visualize successfully completing a task, we engage our minds in a way that makes it less intimidating. Take Emma, a college student who struggled with studying for her exams. Every time she cracked open a textbook, she felt overwhelmed by the sheer volume of material. After learning about visualization, she began imagining herself not only studying but also confidently walking into the exam room and acing her test. This practice significantly reduced her anxiety and made studying feel more manageable. As Emma visualized her success repeatedly, she felt motivated to put in the work necessary to achieve it. Research from the University of Southern California indicates that people who practice visualization techniques are more likely to complete their tasks promptly and with less stress. Imagine waking each day, picturing your goals, and actively working towards them with clarity and purpose. This powerful technique encourages individuals to break their tasks into smaller, manageable parts, making the journey feel less overwhelming. By envisioning the details of each step, whether it's writing a report or preparing for a presentation, the process becomes clearer, and the motivation to take action grows. Ultimately, visualization serves as a bridge connecting our aspirations to tangible actions, helping us to overcome procrastination. Emma exemplified this transformation as she moved from avoidance to action, effectively tackling her study schedule one day at a time. The lesson? By visualizing our success, we can reshape our mindset and foster a proactive approach to even the most daunting tasks. The influence of social support on our motivation is often underestimated. Studies consistently show that having a supportive network can be pivotal in overcoming procrastination. Whether it's friends, family, or colleagues, the presence of others can push us towards our goals. When we share our ambitions with others, we anchor ourselves to a sense of accountability. For example, consider the story of Mark, who struggled to keep up with his fitness goals. He often found himself procrastinating on workouts, making excuses as to why he couldn't go to the gym. After confiding in a friend, his perception began to shift. His friend suggested working out together. This simple act not only provided Mark with motivation but also turned exercise into a social event. The shared commitment helped Mark prioritize his fitness routine, significantly reducing his procrastination. Research by the American Psychological Association supports this idea, revealing that individuals who participate in group activities tend to stick to their commitments more effectively than those who go solo. Social support fosters a sense of belonging and accountability, creating a safety net that can cushion the fears and doubts that often lead to procrastination. This can be achieved through various means, whether it's forming study groups, joining clubs, or simply having a friend check in on your progress. As Mark regularly met his friend at the gym, he felt an increasing sense of responsibility not just for himself but for his friend as well. The commitment to another person transformed his approach entirely, turning procrastination into proactive engagement. Moreover, it's essential to recognize the quality of social support matters just as much as the quantity. Supportive relationships characterized by encouragement and positivity can create an empowering environment that fuels motivation. In contrast, negative social influences can exacerbate feelings of doubt and procrastination. Mark found that surrounding himself with motivated individuals propelled him further along his fitness journey. As he engaged in a community of like-minded peers, the collective energy sparked his drive to act. The takeaway? Building a strong support system is crucial. By inviting others into our journey, we embrace collective motivation, transforming procrastination into action-oriented progress. The dynamic created by social bonds enables us to strive confidently toward achieving our goals. To understand procrastination in a meaningful way, we must first delve into the brain itself. Neuroscience offers us clues about why procrastination manifests in our lives. At its core, procrastination may be linked to how our brain processes rewards and punishments. When faced with a task, the brain has to juggle immediate gratification against delayed rewards. Let's break this down. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and impulse control, is often at odds with the primitive parts of our brain that seek instant gratification. When you decide to binge-watch your favorite series instead of finishing a project, it's the limbic system, the emotional center, winning the battle over the prefrontal cortex. Studies have shown that the more immediate a reward, the more likely we are to choose it over a task that offers delayed satisfaction. For instance, a study published in 2009 by the American Psychological Association found that individuals are prone to procrastination when they expect a task to feel unpleasant. Researchers found that visualizing the end goal or reward could activate the brain's reward center, potentially reducing procrastination. Consider the case of a college student, Emily. She struggled with procrastination during her final semester. Tasks piled up, and despite wanting to achieve good grades, the fear of failure loomed large. When Emily learned to visualize her graduation day, walking across the stage in her cap and gown, she found that her brain started to associate her studies with positive emotions. This simple exercise of visualization allowed her to engage her prefrontal cortex more effectively, combating the urge to procrastinate. Science indicates that our emotional reactions significantly influence our decision-making abilities. When fear or anxiety kick in, they can trigger avoidance behavior and make procrastination more appealing as a coping mechanism. Anxiety can be paralyzing, leading to a cycle where the more we avoid, the more anxious we feel about the task at hand. Another compelling aspect of procrastination lies in our brain's wiring itself. A 2018 study revealed that people with a specific genetic variation associated with lower dopamine levels are more likely to procrastinate. This discovery hints at a biological predisposition, suggesting that our brains may be wired to procrastinate. Understanding these intrinsic factors can help us develop strategies that work with our neurological makeup rather than against it. However, knowing the science is just the beginning. Learning to manage these brain processes can empower us to take action. By applying techniques that foster motivation, such as breaking tasks into smaller, manageable pieces and rewarding ourselves immediately upon completing them, we can effectively rewire our brain's response to procrastination. In the next chapter, we'll explore how practical applications can be tailored to align with our brain's functioning, leading to lasting behavioral changes and ultimately decreasing procrastination. But first, let's take a moment to reflect on how your neurobiology might play a role in your own patterns of procrastination. Cognitive strategies are powerful tools we can harness to combat procrastination. They help reframe our thoughts, allowing us better control over our actions. One useful method is cognitive restructuring, a technique that actively challenges negative thought patterns. For example, instead of thinking, "I'll never finish this project on time," you can replace that thought with, "I can break this project into smaller steps and tackle them one at a time." To illustrate this further, let's look at Tim. Tim had a tendency to feel overwhelmed by large assignments, leading to complete avoidance. After learning about cognitive restructuring, he started to identify the negative thoughts that contributed to his procrastination. By challenging those thoughts and creating a more positive internal dialogue, Tim found he could approach his assignments with a fresh perspective. Another effective cognitive tool is the concept of temptation bundling. This term refers to pairing a task you find difficult with an activity you enjoy. For instance, if you struggle to find motivation for exercising but enjoy listening to podcasts, you could only allow yourself to listen to your favorite show while at the gym. This technique creates an incentive, making it more likely you'll complete both activities together. A pivotal study by Catherine Milkman, a professor at Wharton, found that people who used temptation bundling were significantly more likely to stick to their fitness goals. This practical application showed that by combining a dreaded task with a pleasurable one, participants were able to overcome their initial aversion. Implementing techniques like the Pomodoro technique, where you work for 25 minutes straight followed by a 5-minute break, also falls under cognitive strategies. This method capitalizes on our brain's focus capabilities, preventing burnout and maintaining productivity over extended periods. Consider Sarah, who had a habit of procrastinating on writing assignments. By using the Pomodoro technique, she split her writing into manageable segments. She discovered she could produce a significant amount of work in just a few hours, as the frequent breaks helped her maintain her focus and energy. By the end of her week, she had written more than she ever thought possible. Another cognitive tool involves time management techniques, such as the Eisenhower matrix. This method categorizes tasks based on urgency and importance, allowing individuals to prioritize effectively. When you clearly see which tasks require immediate attention and which can be postponed, it reduces the feeling of overwhelm that often leads to procrastination. Finally, developing a growth mindset is also critical in combating procrastination. Carol Dweck's research on growth versus fixed mindsets shows that individuals who believe they can learn and grow tend to be more resilient and less prone to procrastination. They view failures as opportunities rather than setbacks, therefore enhancing their motivation to act. When you adopt this approach, you start seeing tasks not as burdens but as possibilities for skill enhancement and personal development. As we summarize these cognitive tools, the next chapter will dive into the emotional side of procrastination, understanding how our feelings play a crucial role in motivating us to act or leading us to avoid necessary tasks altogether. So, stay tuned as we unravel the emotional labyrinth that often traps us in the cycle of procrastination. In the grand landscape of human behavior, self-discipline stands as a pillar of success, a trait that can mean the difference between dreams fulfilled and dreams deferred. Procrastination, with its seductive grip, often leads us down a winding path of delays and missed opportunities. But what if I told you that the key to navigating this treacherous terrain lies in developing robust self-discipline? Self-discipline is not merely the act of pushing ourselves to do tasks we don't enjoy, it's about understanding the deeper motivations that drive our choices. Think about it, why do we often choose to binge watch a series instead of studying for an important exam? The answer might lie in a mix of immediate gratification and avoidance of discomfort. Imagine a young woman named Sarah, a talented artist with dreams of showcasing her work in galleries. Yet, each evening, she finds herself scrolling through social media instead of painting. Sarah's story reflects a common struggle. She possesses the ability, the tools, and even the ideas, but her self-discipline falters at the moment of execution. Research indicates that self-discipline is akin to a muscle. It can be strengthened over time. Findings from a study at the University of Alberta highlight that individuals who practice self-control in small ways, like resisting the temptation of dessert, tend to exhibit greater self-discipline in more significant life areas, such as career and academics. This process begins with setting clear intentions. Instead of vague goals, commit to specific, actionable steps. For instance, instead of saying, "I'll work on my art this week," Sarah could set a schedule. "I will paint for 2 hours every Tuesday and Thursday evening." One of the most powerful tools for enhancing self-discipline is building a routine. Routines reduce the mental load associated with decision-making. When tasks become habitual, it takes less cognitive effort to engage with them. Think of how athletes train. Through consistent practice, they develop not just skill, but the discipline to push through barriers. Furthermore, accountability can amplify self-discipline. Sharing goals with a friend or joining a community can create a safety net. Consider a group of writers participating in a monthly challenge. They motivate each other to produce work, keeping procrastination at bay. But it's also crucial to acknowledge setbacks. Discipline isn't about being perfect, it's about learning and adapting. When Sarah succumbs to procrastination, rather than wallowing in guilt, she can evaluate what led to her choices and adjust her routine accordingly. Finally, visualize your success. Visualization techniques, often employed by athletes, involve imagining the successful completion of goals. Picture Sarah standing in her own gallery, surrounded by her artwork. This mental imagery can reinforce her commitment to self-discipline. In exploring self-discipline's role in overcoming procrastination, we see a dynamic interplay of intention, routine, accountability, and adaptability. The beauty of this journey lies in the understanding that it is not a sprint but a marathon, where every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. But how do we balance self-discipline with the inevitable challenges life throws our way? As we move into the next chapter, we'll look deeper at cultivating resilience, the ability to bounce back and keep going even when faced with setbacks. How can we strengthen our resolve, and how does resilience tie into our battle against procrastination? Resilience is a fascinating psychological concept that embodies the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. In the context of procrastination, resilience becomes an essential tool for success. Consider the story of James, a graduate student who faced the daunting task of writing his thesis. Initially overwhelmed, he found himself delaying the inevitable. However, a pivotal moment came when he encountered a professor who had faced similar obstacles during his academic journey. This interaction sparked a transformative realization for James: adversity is not a barrier but a stepping stone to growth. Research from psychologists such as Dr. Martin Seligman highlights the importance of resilience in achieving long-term goals. People who exhibit resilience not only overcome obstacles but also maintain motivation and focus through periods of uncertainty. So, what does this mean for those battling procrastination? The journey to developing resilience is multifaceted. It begins with a mindset shift. Embracing a growth mindset, the belief that abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work, fuels resilience. Rather than viewing failure as a reflection of inadequacy, it becomes a learning opportunity. For instance, imagine if James regarded his initial failure to write as a chance to learn about his writing process. He might experiment with different writing techniques, realizing that every attempt, even the unsuccessful ones, brings him closer to his goal. Physical well-being plays a crucial role in fostering resilience. Studies reveal that exercise, nutrition, and sleep significantly impact our mental fortitude. Engaging in regular physical activity not only boosts our mood but also enhances brain function, crucial for clear thinking and sustained focus. Additionally, cultivating strong relationships can bolster resilience. Connections with supportive friends and family provide a safety net during challenging times. When James struggled with his thesis, having peers available to bounce ideas off could have alleviated his stress, keeping procrastination at bay. A powerful technique for building resilience is the practice of self-reflection. This involves looking back at experiences, particularly challenging ones, to assess how they were managed. James could take time to journal about his mindset during his procrastination phases. What thoughts held him back? What strategies eventually helped him move forward? Moreover, having a clear vision of your goals can enhance resilience. With established objectives, it's easier to visualize the pathway through obstacles. Growth comes from perseverance, and keeping sight of one's end goal makes it less likely to succumb to procrastination. As we explore resilience in depth, we begin to recognize its profound impact not only on our ability to fight procrastination but on the entirety of our life experiences.